Mike called me to do this presentation. I was happened to be watching the NHL playoffs at the time, and as I'm watching all these teams advance and having success, all I was thinking about was how successful these teams are because of their decor. And these teams are advancing throughout the playoffs and winning championships, or put themselves in a position to win championships because of their defense. So being a former defenseman myself, when he asked me to speak, I thought this would be a great opportunity to touch on this. And before I get into the technical side of things, whether it be gap control or stick positioning or puck retrievals, the first thing I thought to myself was, before any of that stuff becomes important, defending is a mindset. You have to actually want to play defense. It's a want as much as it is anything. And when you decide to be a defenseman at a young age, it's actually in your job description, defenseman, right? The job actually requires you to play defense. And the way our game is played today, we're all encouraging our defensemen to get involved offensively, right? You need 5 guys to be involved offensively if you're going to have success offensively, because teams do defend so well. But before you can be a defenseman, you've actually got to want to play defense. And there were so many things that I was thinking about when I was putting this presentation together, and I picked 4 things. And the first thing I thought to myself was one-on-one play, whether it be off an initial rush or whether it be in zone down low play. And the first thing I thought about when thinking about one-on-one play off the initial rush is gap control. The gap you establish leaving the offensive blue line, in all probability, is going to be the gap you establish through the neutral zone and entering the defensive zone. So for a defenseman, when you're on that offensive blue line, there's a lot going on. That blue line is there for one reason, and that's for offsides. So when you get up on that offensive blue line, you've got to be making decisions. You've got to be active mentally. You've got to be recognizing what's going on in the offensive zone. Are you on offense? Are you on defense? Are there battles going on? And to me, once you create a bad gap leaving that offensive blue line, it's very difficult to recover, right? And everybody talks about tracking and back pressure. It's very difficult to create tracking and back pressure if that gap is bad leaving the offensive blue line. You create that good gap, all of a sudden the opposing team, when they get possession in the defensive zone, they gain possession, they try to get out of their D zone in a hurry with puck possession. Those 2 defensemen have a good gap. There's an opportunity to slow them down. Now you're allowing your back pressure. From that, one of the things that we like to talk about with our defensemen is play off their highest forward, especially when there's question of control or there's a battle going on in the offensive zone. Too often defensemen will stand on the blue line because it's there, and they don't create that good gap. So as a defenseman, I think you've got to be constantly aware of where the opposing team's highest forward is. Everybody likes to collapse coverage, right? So, the higher you stay up when there's question of control, the less likelihood you're going to have of creating a good gap if the opposing team gains possession. So, finding that highest forward on the offensive blue line is important when you're trying to establish a good gap leaving the offensive blue line. Horizontal gap. We're playing a one-on-one. You create that good vertical gap. All of a sudden, a guy has to go east or west. Maintaining a good horizontal gap is just as important as having that vertical gap. So again, you do a good job leaving the offensive blue line. You create a good gap. He runs out of room. He or she tries to go wide. You maintain that good horizontal gap. There's an opportunity to create a turnover and to create some transition. So, from those good offensive gaps, that's where you have an opportunity to cause turnovers in the neutral zone and strike with transition. The stick, right? We all talk about stick on puck, which is obviously pivotal if you're going to be a good defender, leaving, off the initial rush. It also puts you in a great position to create agility, mobility. When you do leave that offensive blue line and the other team has the puck, you got to get the stick down. As important as having one hand on the stick is to play the guy with the puck, it's also important to maintain agility and mobility. Once that second hand comes up on the stick, most players have a tendency to stand up and get upright. You want to stay as low as possible when you're leaving that offensive zone, okay? You want to put yourself in a position to have a lot of agility and mobility when you're leaving that offensive blue line.